Yep, we're live.
Okay.
We're live on the YouTubes for sure. Okay, now what was this talking to me about for the very first thing?
In your email titled intro, just sound, not visual.
Hello, we would like to welcome you to the first fan. Hello, we would like to welcome you to the first Families United Action Network's Bubbles of Love Family Lockdown Telethon, featuring special guests Toya Johnson, Dr. Mark Roseman, attorneys Jeff Jansen, Roseanne Plant, Ron and Sherry Palmer, Catherine McWillie, and Mark Ledwig, along with Melody Brooke, with music performances by Jasmine and Philly Slim, with multiple legislative and community testimonies throughout the night. And now, please welcome your host and president of Families United Action Network, Nicholas Dreesen.
Welcome everybody to tonight's Bubbles of Love Family Lockdown Telethon. This is our first virtual telethon event, and I'm sure we're probably going to have a few technical glitches as we go along tonight, but we'd like to thank you for joining us. So what exactly is a telethon? Well, it's kind of like the old Jerry Lewis telethons, where we're going to tell you a bit about our organization, what we do for the community, and how you can get involved to help. So to get things started, let's go ahead and start with a little bit of music. Just to let you know, all evening long, moderators will be standing by to help answer your questions, take your donations, and to help you become a Fawn family participant.
When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of a storm, there's a golden sky and the sweet silver song of love. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, for your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk with hope in your heart, and you'll never.
Families United Action Network. Protect Families United Action Network, protecting children and families for a strong future. Well, as we dive into tonight, we're going to give you several powerhouse speakers, as well as community testimonials, legislative testimonials, and of course, some wonderful musical performers. So as we get going throughout the night too, we want to again not only leave you by the end of the night where you have a better understanding of who FAWN or Families United Action Network is, but also why we do the things that we do and how you can help get involved to become a FAWN family participant to help out the children and families of Iowa and beyond. Now, tonight, throughout the evening, we will have moderators standing by in case you have questions, concerns, and also be able to accept your donation, as we cannot do this all alone. Not only do we accept your donation, but your time is very valuable, and so we are also going to explain ways that you can become a FAWN family participant, get involved, learn how to get a hold of your legislators and other things to do to help make a difference in children and families' lives. So our very first donor is actually going to receive one of these free t-shirts. Throughout the evening, we will show this to you again here. In case you have, we are going to raffle off a couple of those throughout the evening. Our very first donor will receive one. We will select a donor at random at the end of the evening to receive one. And we also have a few other books that we will be giving away throughout the evening. We'll keep you updated as the night goes on as to when those drawings will be happening. So stay tuned, get involved, and we also have one other big giveaway. This is something that is kind of near and dear to my heart. I spent a lot of time working on this tapestry. This tapestry is not only available that we are going to give away to the first $1,000 donor, but if you actually put this under a black light, you get a completely different picture as seen here. So again, that will go to the first $1,000 donor. We have these t-shirts for our first donor and other donors throughout the evening, and books. So with that, we're going to dive in. I'm going to turn things over to Roseanne Plant, attorney Roseanne Plant, to go ahead and explain a little bit more about who Families United Action Network is. Going to give away to the first $1,000 donor, but if you actually put this under a black light, you get a completely different picture as seen here. So again, that will go to the first Families United Action Network, protecting children and families for a strong future. That's who we are and what we're about. Tonight, we're going to show you a few ways that we go about that by giving you some powerhouse speakers, community and legislative testimonies, and of course, some wonderful music. So please stay tuned. Now, the goal of tonight is to not only help you walk away with a better understanding of who our organization is, why we do the things that we do, but also, most importantly, why we can't do these things alone and why we need your help, and why we will be a worthy cause for you to get involved with. So throughout the night, we're going to have moderators standing by that will be able to help answer any of your questions, take donations, as well as teach you how to become a FAWN family participant and get involved on a deeper level. Our very first donor is going to receive one of these free t-shirts. That's the back, this is the front. Why we do the things. So our first donor will receive one of these. We also will have a donor at random that we will select at the end of the night. And don't worry, you don't have to watch the whole thing. We will notify you if you are the winner. And throughout the night, we also have 3 different books that we will be giving away that we will update you as to when we will be giving those away. So you got to stay tuned to get involved in that part. Last but not least is something very near and dear to my heart. I've spent hours working on this project. I have painted this not only as a symbol of our organization, but there's a whole lot of love that goes behind this painting for me, and it's kind of hard to let it go. But we've decided for the first $1,000 donor, we will not only allow you to receive this tapestry as yours, but we want to let you know too that if you go ahead and turn on a black light, it's going to give you a completely different picture. So again, that's going to go to our first $1,000 donor. Moderators are going to be standing by all evening to help with your questions, take your donations, and teach you to get involved. But first, let's get started with Roseanne Plant and a little bit deeper understanding of who Families United Action Network is. It's kind of hard to let it go. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy tonight. $1,000 donor, we will not only allow you to receive this tapestry as yours, but we want to let you know too that if you go ahead and turn on a black light, it's going to give you a completely different picture. So again,
Hi, my name is Roseanne Plant, and I'm here to tell you today about FAWN, Family United Action Network. And we're thrilled to be asked to tell you a little about who we help, how we help them, and how you can help us. The mission of FAWN is to preserve and protect children and families through repairing and rebuilding current structures and organizations to create a solid foundation for Iowa's families and for next generations. So who do we help? We help Iowa families. We think that the strength of Iowa lies with families and their strengths. Even more so now with the pandemic, Iowa families are stressed and strained more than ever, and we are here to help. How do we help? We help on many levels. We legislate. We hope to pass bills that will make family life better in Iowa. We listen to people. We see where the problems are, and we work with administrators, leaders, and legislators and Iowa families to realize their issues, formulate plans, and make solutions and policy recommendations that can truly change the life and the lifeblood of Iowa, which is the families. Now, how can you help us? Well, there's a lot of different ways. Number one, you can volunteer. We have many different committees here at FAWN, all the way from legislative committees to committees that plan our service projects and committees that also reach out to the public. Number two, you can donate your time and talent and also financial resources. It takes a great deal of time, talent, and finances to operate our organization, and we are always looking for those who want to step up and support our efforts. Number three, you can talk about us. Talk about us to friends, family, your local legislators, and most importantly, talk to us. Reach out at our network and our website, which is www.familiesunite.org. We're always here to hear what your problems are or your successes. Number four, after you talk to us, reach out. Reach out to us, reach out to your legislators, and reach out to other families. We can only become stronger when we reach out and support each other. Number five, support or sponsor FAWN events. We are planning a golf tournament for this year and other outreach projects. So please, if you'd like to support something, support us. Support us or ask how you can take the lead with a great fundraising idea. And lastly, stay in the loop. This is absolutely free and everybody can do it. So with that, we'd like to thank you for including us in this great project. And just so you know, we are always here for Iowa families and here for you. Please contact us at www.familiesunite.org.
Thank you very much, Roseanne, for that kind introduction there. She mentioned a lot about events, and I don't know about you, but I really miss going out, seeing people, being at events. You might not know this about me, but once upon a time, my first couple jobs was that as a music promoter and community event organizer. So I'm kind of having a little bit of event withdrawal. Normally, we would be going to county fairs, farmers markets, doing fawn forums, candidate forums, whatever we could do. And due to the latest crisis, we were going to kind of do things differently with things such as this virtual event. We're also going to ask that we get more participation so that we can reach out to the candidates and try and do online candidate forums as well, so that you have that opportunity to ask your tough family law reform questions. So these are just some of the things that we've done, or getting ready to do here. But right now we're going to show you a couple videos about one of my favorite events called Bubbles of Love. This is something that happens on April 25th of every year, and it's easy. You can do it anywhere you're at, and it only takes a couple minutes. And no matter where you're at, it's guaranteed to bring a smile to your face.
Hello, everybody! We're here to ask you to join the fun on April 25th. All you need to do is stop what you're doing at noon and blow some soap bubbles, inside or out. The bubbles represent love and the power of love. Get your school, church, and community to help. Show your love. Blow some love bubbles. Be sure to record it and post it on YouTube. April 25th at noon. Wherever you are in this beautiful earth. Blow some bubbles. Go to bubblesofloveday.com.
Yeah. You know, I know a lot of you are going through the very same things that I'm going through right now. Just hold your head up. Kai, Luca, Daddy loves you. I'm on my way. Hold on, Kai, buddy, don't let go. Daddy's on his way and I'm in control. Hold on, Luca, honey, don't let go. Daddy's on his way and I'm in control. Hold on, Kai, buddy, don't let go. Daddy's on his way and I'm in control. Hold on, Luca, honey, don't let go. Daddy's on his way and I'm in control. All I know is pain, all I know is sorrow. Look into these eyes and you see that they be hollow. No future for tomorrow, I will beg or borrow. Whatever it takes, whoever's bones I have to break. Even if I have to take fate into my own hands to make sure that we're reunited once again. Come on, sing it with me now, sing it with me now. Yeah. Hold on, Kai, buddy, don't let go. Daddy's on his way and I'm in control. Hold on, Luca, honey, don't let go. Daddy's on his way and I'm in control. Hold on, Kai, buddy, don't let go. Daddy's on his way and I'm in control. Hold on, Luca, honey, don't let go. Daddy's on his way and I'm in control. If I could have one wish, and that wish would be my kids. We'd be out doing shit that all the other families did. Taking you to practice, Luca to gymnastics. Watch your first backflip, that's the shit that I miss. Tell me what did I do, they don't deserve this. Tell me what's the purpose, to reverse this curse which social services has placed upon us. Yeah. Hold on, Kai, buddy, don't let go. Daddy's on his way and I'm in control. Hold on, Luca, honey, don't let go. Daddy's on his way and I'm in control. Hold on, Kai, buddy, don't let go. Daddy's on his way and I'm in control. Hold on, Luca, honey, don't let go. Daddy's on his way and I'm in control. I don't always do what's right, but I do what's needed. I'm the father's right champion, I can't be defeated. Without you in my life, kids, I feel incompleted. The courts are so blind, but I'ma make them see it. You gotta believe it, his daddy loves you both. I just want you to know that. Even though it seems hopeless, don't give up hope yet. Come on, sing it with me now. Sing it with me now, yeah. Hold on, Makai, buddy, don't let go. Daddy's on his way and I'm in control. Hold on, Luca, honey, don't let go. Daddy's on his way and I'm in control. Hold on, Makai, buddy, don't let go. Daddy's on his way and I'm in control. Hold on, Luca, honey, don't let go. Daddy's on his way and I'm in control.
Hold on, baby. Daddy's on his way. You gotta hold on, baby. Daddy's on his way. And I'm trying so hard, fighting so hard, trying and I'm fighting for you. And I won't ever leave you. Daddy's coming home, fighting so hard for you. And I can't breathe without you, or dream without you, sleep without you. I can't breathe without you, dream without you, sleep without you.
All right, Bubbles of Love Day here at the Capitol. Our fine officers need me to move real fast though, so thank you everybody. Bubbles of Love.
To see him coming? Hi, Michael.
Thank you. Can you send those to me?
Hey everybody, here comes our Bubbles of Love truck coming down the street. We figured you couldn't come to us to get the bubbles, but we definitely could bring the bubbles to you. So if you see our truck around town, spreading the love, Hey, Nick.
Hello, how's everybody doing out there today on International Bubbles of Love Day? Figured everybody could use a little extra love and some smiles right now, so driving around with my two boys, spreading bubbles and some information. We got some different brochures, and go ahead and we'll give that to you and anybody else who stops us. So, hopes everybody having a great day. Gonna keep driving.
Yeah. You know, I know a lot of you are going through the very same things that I'm going through right now. Yeah. You know, I know a lot of you are going through the very same things that I'm going through right now. Just hold your head up. Hi, Luca. Daddy loves you. I'm on my way.
Hi, I'm Toya Johnson. I'd like to thank you for spending a little time with us for a cause that impacts us all, family law reform. COVID-19 has revealed some terrifying but real issues within our courts and child protective system. Those issues range from stimulus payments to child support payments to parents being hauled back into court. Those issues range from parents not being able to meet their child support obligations to parents being hauled back into courts because they are frontline essential workers. There's been some confusion that has been recently addressed with some of the issues that COVID-19 has revealed and presented. One of those issues have been confusion about how parenting time orders and schedules are to be completed during the time of coronavirus. From what we have understood and to our knowledge, there are several states' governors who have issued directives directing that the parenting time orders remain as they currently are, as best to the parents' abilities to continue to comply with the current orders. And as the courts are closed, it's very hard to seek a modification. So we at Families United Action Network are definitely saying if you are a parent who has a parenting time schedule, please try your best to make this as normal as possible for your kids and honor the orders that are already in play. Another issue that we've found during that COVID-19 has definitely revealed is the fact that due to the loss of jobs and businesses, parents are unable to meet their child support obligations. And there have been several states and governors who have issued directives that allow for some lenience to the collection of child support payments. Some of them have waived them. Some of them have decided that they would only take half of payments. And unfortunately, there are many states who still say that the child support payments must be collected. And many of the parents that we know felt that when their stimulus, their economic empowerment or impact payments were taken by child support. It's absolutely disheartening to hear the stories of parents who were counting on that money to make basic needs met, whether it's food, shelter, transportation, medication. So many parents were depending upon the stimulus to help them just get by. And so we would hope that you all would do your best to parent and co-parent effectively and efficiently whenever possible and help each other out, for not only for yourselves, but for the sake of your children. There are many people that are being brought to the edge, and some of them have went over. This is not only a family issue, it also encompasses things such as mental health, which is really, really an important topic for us to be thinking about. So let us all, parents who do have parenting time orders, do our best to be sure that we are honoring those and being concerned about the mental health of the non-custodial parents whom you share your children with. A mentally healthy parent is going to be a great parent. So let's think about that while we're talking about this. Another issue that we have seen in states like Oklahoma, states like Alabama, and from what I read, Florida as well, where parents are being hauled into court. COVID-19 has created the perfect storm for what we call system-induced parental alienation. And what that basically entails is, or generally includes, social workers, caseworkers, lawyers, CASA workers, and others involved in the family law arena, where those with weighted opinions use the legal system to create unrealistic and many times false perceptions that damage the parent-child bond, with the courts being used as the vehicle to perpetuate this form of legal abuse. That brings me to some of the most examples of that. A doctor in perfect Oklahoma works as an essential worker on the front line, and the non-custodial parent, her ex-husband, brought her back into court and said because she worked in a field where she could have been exposed to COVID-19, that she was essentially committing child abuse. And unfortunately, the courts agreed and removed the children from her custody. That's absolutely egregious. That should not be happening. And it's just another way that parents who, what we would call sometimes narcissistic in our field, use the courts to continue to legally abuse, mentally abuse parents who just want to be in their children's lives. Sadly, these tactics are not new. FAWN has been in this fight for the last 5 years. And we want to see this whole agency thrown away. It's time to throw it away. It's time to do things differently. FON recently proposed in the last couple of years what we are calling our Abolish CPS bill. And what that bill does is, one, seeks, no, it's not private, it's not a privatization. What it does is a bill that seeks to make the Department of Human Services a standalone agency, the child protective component of it, a standalone agency, much like we did with our Department of Corrections. We believe that if this agency is dismantled and then we bring back a new department, which we call lovingly the Family Stabilization and Preservation Department, we believe that if this is allowed to occur, that we will see more efficient, more effective, and better management of when the state actually engages a family for suspected child abuse. We have done, currently, we have 4 bills that kind of go to addressing different portions of this issue. One of those bills is our shared parenting bill. We believe that parents should start off on equal footing when they separate. Just because parents can't make it work, or a spouse leaves, or a parent leaves the situation, doesn't mean that they're leaving their children. Doesn't mean that those children don't deserve to have a relationship with their parents as much as they can, and try to keep it as normal as they can. And so we've advocated for parents to start out on equal footing with a rebuttable presumption. And basically that means if there is a reason, a legitimate reason, that a parent should not be involved to the fullest of the law, then let's make sure that they're criminally proven unfit to be in their children's lives. Another issue, another bill that we have running and coming forth is our reinstatement of parental rights bill. We believe that this is an imperative bill that should lead to reunification of families, as well as slowing the length of time that children spend in foster care. This bill really seeks to address issues with children lingering in the foster care system where there's been a bad adoption, or an adoption where it wasn't a good fit, or they've been in group homes for a long period of time. And some of the criteria for parents to have their rights reinstated would be that the children were in long-term foster care, that they have addressed any of the issues that caused the termination of their children. And we think that it's a great bill, and from what we understand, we've gotten some great feedback from the Department of Human Services in this arena that they're willing to consider a reinstatement of parental rights. Another bill that we have is what we call our false allegation bill. And this bill deals specifically with the child abuse hotline. This is where all cases start, and we believe with just one minor change from making the calls anonymous to confidential, that we will see a reduction in unnecessary involvement of the state into families' affairs. Our last bill that we have still running, or one that we've definitely supported, has been the grandparents bill. It's had several different forms this year. Last year, we unfortunately could not support that bill just due to the language that it entailed and some of the legal ramifications. However, we do know that for you grandparents that are out there, there is a bill on the books that addresses grandparents' issues in DHS. FON has been working tirelessly and relentlessly to make sure that we are fighting for the changes that we need in Iowa as well as nationwide. All around the nation, we are seeing family law advocates get into the arena and come out swinging. There have been cases where family law has received a big kudos, so to speak, such as the Hardwick case. Most of you might know that as the right to lie case, where they said social workers don't have the right to lie in order to take children. And we recently had a case like that here in Iowa, with Chelsea Gray. She admitted and was found guilty of falsifying documents that removed children from their families. Absolutely horrific. So you compound that with COVID-19, and we have the perfect storm on our hands that is about to explode. Thank you for watching our video. We hope you found it informative, educational, and ready to take action. With that said, let's talk a little bit about COVID-19, or a little bit more about COVID-19. And since we are practicing social distancing, you're going to hear Nick Dreesen, our president, giving us questions from the FAWN inbox, and we'll talk about it and go from there. Hi, I'm Toya Johnson, Vice President of Families United Action Network and Executive Director of our Family Stabilization and Preservation Unit. Thank you for watching our video. Today's topic will be abolishing the Department of Human Services CPS unit. We'll be listing out our top 10 reasons in reverse. Number 10, families are the foundation of this nation, and this agency is destroying what deserves to be, when possible, preserved and stabilized. FAWN has heard from many grandparents and other family members who were willing and able to take on the responsibility of raising their family members' children in order to keep sibling groups together and to keep those children in the families of origin. Yet the department has regularly failed to place children with family members. Number 9, parents are winning huge lawsuits against the agency in other states, and the department has been and is currently being sued by parents for mistreatment and sometimes the death of their children while in the department's care. In Iowa, there have been several cases. However, there was a case that caused our courts to deem the removal process as unconstitutional. So if our courts can recognize that the process is unconstitutional, then we definitely should be abolishing this type of agency in practice. Number 8, other states have acknowledged the failures and have either abolished or they have completely overhauled their child protection agencies. Some of those states would include states like Arizona, where they completely got rid of their child protection agency and returned it to a service agency. And places like Maryland and Michigan, they also changed the process and procedures of how they ran their child protection agency, leading them to become some of the states in the top 10 for the least amount of children removed from homes. Number 7, social workers and others are being prosecuted for falsifying documents that lead to the removal of children. Here in Iowa, there was a recent case where a social worker pled guilty to perjury. So we are harming and damaging people because of the word that is given to social workers. Number 6, if the department was held to the standard that it held natural parents to, the department would not only lose their children, but possibly be in jail for the actions that have been committed against children while in their care. Number 5, the department has failed to protect the very people it was set up to serve. In high conflict custody battles, parents are using the agency as a weapon against another parent. Now, that would lead us to say why we are saying that the call-in line needs to be confidential instead of anonymous. By changing this one piece of legislation, we would be able to not only save the state money, but save families and children who could be in distress for no good reason at all. Number 3, the state has failed to fully and adequately address the issues within the child welfare study that it commissioned. The state has been given a blueprint to ensure the safety of children, yet it has failed to enact or implement any of the recommendations that were commissioned, that were in its commission study. The state has failed every round of federal review. Number one, people involved in family courts are often denied due process guaranteed by not only the Iowa Constitution, but our federal Constitution as well. The family court is the only court where people walk in guilty and have to prove their innocence. This practice not only harms children, it destroys families and erases family heritage. People involved in the family courts deserve to have adequate representation, deserve to have adequate due process when it comes to their Fourth, their Fifth, their Sixth, and their Seventh Amendment rights, as well as the right to be a family. And the violation of these rights essentially become a violation of our Eighth Amendment rights. Cruel and unusual punishment. We are causing the living deaths of families if we continue to allow this agency to operate and exist in its current status. Thank you for listening to our video. If you'd like more information about FAWN, Families United Action Network, please go to our website at www.familiesunite.org. That's www.familiesunite.org. Thank you. I'm Toya Johnson.
I'm Senator Mark Sigmart. I live 8 miles down Highway 30 to the east from here. So Jason and I are not only do we sit together in the Senate, but we're neighbors as well. So the 8 years that I've been there, I've been on what the committee called Human Resources. What does that mean? That means human resources is dollars for people. It's social dollars is what it really amounts to. So the departments that are under that committee, which I've been a ranking member of it for 4 years when we were in the minority. I was the chairman of that committee for the previous 2 years, and last year I was the co-chair, and I'm currently the co-chair of that committee. The departments under there starts with the Department of Human Services. Have you all heard of that one? That's a monster. Let me tell you, it's a monster. You know, the IRS, I always say, can take your house, but the DHS can literally walk in and take your kids away. Now, I'm a grandfather, and my 2 grandsons live in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So my wife and I said, we're going to take them, they're 5 and 10. We're going to take them on vacation. So one of the questions comes in, well, how do we keep, if we get pulled over and they say, whose kids are those? And we say, well, those are our grandkids. How do we prove that? We could have lost our grandkids going to South Dakota to see Mount Rushmore. That's how powerful DHS is all over the country. And I've been, as the chairman of that committee, I get to set policy for most of it, but it's all DHS policy is driven by the federal government, basically. So, and there's tons and millions of dollars that are fed through the federal DHS. They go to the state DHSs, the Department of Human Service, and all of the things they do, they get reimbursed for. So, guess what? I'm going to locally, as I know it, if they take your child and put it in foster care, there's money that follows your child now that's actually hurting you to find a way to get your child back. But the biggest problem isn't DHS, it's the drug problem that's out there in Iowa and all over the country. Because what starts this off typically is an arrest and finding drugs in a home. And that's where parents lose their rights, and that's why you're shaking your head no. And that's what I know as the #1 problem. Until you solve the drug problem, I don't know that you're going to find a way to solve the parental rights problem. So if you get your child taken away from you, not only do you lose your rights to that child, your grandparents have no rights to them either. So what DHS has been doing that I've seen in more than one case is that if they need a place to locate this child right after they take them, often the grandparents are the first choice. And it's supposed to be that way, but there's two sets of grandparents, so which one gets them? And if they place them there, there's no guarantee that they're going to stay there either. They will take them away at the drop of anything they find to be wrong, that you were supposed to be. In one case, he was just stopped at a playground and he was supposed to take them directly home. And so a grandpa stopped at a playground and they found that out and they took that child away from an old grandparent that was so wonderful. And these are people that I've known for a long time. They're wonderful people. And there was really no justification for that. So DHS is too big in my mind. The temporary rights, the termination of parental rights is a big issue. And children's mental health. Why do we have such a huge mental health problem in our children? You guys have just talked about the reasons. You start taking kids away, they have PTSD of their own because of losing their parents. And I think you have to agree with that. They become all kinds of conditions that come along with that, mental stress from being losing your parents. I'm just like you. I lost my dad when I was 10 years old, and my grandmother moved in with us out on the farm, and I was raised by my mom and my grandma for the most part. So I understand what it's like to lose a parent at that age, even though that ours was just because of heart attack and not because it was TTR. And so I'm talking about drugs and judges are the other reason. You gotta, and I had the privilege this last year as a senator to interview two appointment recommendations to the governor for judges. They both happen to be women, and in the course of the discussion I was having with them, because they asked me to recommend them, I brought this issue up about termination of parental rights and how the money follows the courts and the DHS both, and how that somehow is not probably right, because it looks like DHS is doing it for the wrong reason. More of the reason of how much money can we garner from the federal government to keep our own budgets padded, and that's a scary thing to think of too as well. So, and it's still a very emotional problem. Every person I've ever talked to on this issue that's having an issue with their grandchildren or their children, it becomes a very emotional and explosive incident there, and you can see that every time you start to talk about the issue. I brought already our director of DHS together with parents that had issues. We couldn't get anything done because of federal rules that said they had to live by it. Well, why do we have to follow those rules? Because there's a big dollar sign that goes with it. That they're used to pulling in, that if we mess with that, they'll lose their funding. So money is a big deal. So I'm looking for solutions, and I can see where all of these would be wonderful places to start. And where do you start? That's just it. So I think what you're suggesting here is a great place to start. Right now, we're in the second year of this session. So bills that would have been in the House last year that have gone through committee are still what we call live rounds. They can come up at the beginning of this next session, or so they're not dead yet, and so we can also propose new ones at this point to add to it, but we only have a year to get it done, because every time you have an election, you have a new committee and a new board that can do whatever they want to do or undo what you just did. So that's our problem at state legislature. If I was going to solve it, I'd elect everybody for 10 years, and every year you'd elect them. You'd drop off after 10 years and you'd re-elect them. And that way you take the being elected problem away and still have it elected, but take that using what you know against the other guy when you're trying to elect him as a motivation to throw mud at the other candidate or whoever it would be. So that's just a few of my...
Hello, I'm 6th District State Senator Mark Segabart from Western Iowa, and I serve the counties of Crawford and Carroll and Sac and Buena Vista and Audubon. I've been on the Human Resources Committee in the State Senate for the last 8 years, chaired it for 2 years, and have been the co-chair for the last 2 years. And a year ago, I became aware of the Family United Action Network, and I've been very impressed with their work in family preservation and stabilization, and also on child support and custody issues, which seems to be an ongoing problem in Iowa and many states as well. And so it's been a pleasure of mine to work with them in drafting bills and sponsoring bills, and I certainly would recommend everyone to support their causes if you can. And it's going to be exciting to see how they work with the Family First Act that is currently in the Department of Human Service, and the department can use all the help they can get. So I appreciate it. I'm going to keep an eye on them in the years to come. Thank you very much.
I got to tell you, driving around this last weekend, it was so fun to see so many people smiling at the bubbles being shared. The people that, or you could tell, were having a bad day, or at least were zoned out in their own world. And all of a sudden, I drive by and there's faces lit up. And something, again, you can do no matter where you're at. April 25th every year. Just take some pictures or a video, put up hashtag Bubbles of Love, and tag us, Families United Action Network. Now, again, we are here tonight because we cannot do these family law reform changes by ourselves. It takes an entire team coming together. And you notice that we have some advertisers or sponsors, as well as many partners and affiliate organizations from around the country and the globe, because again, we cannot do this alone. So if you have an organization that is near and dear to your heart, or is in your state that you think is going to be better served than donating to us, definitely make sure you get the money to where the family law reform is going to best be suited in your area. But for us, again, hit that donation button right here. Also, go to our website of familiesunite.org and go to the Help Us section to find out more about volunteering, becoming part of the Fawn family participants, and also ask us about our active committees. That's where we really get down to the work as far as writing the bills, having the events like this. We get people where their skill set and passion is best suited so that they stay interested and available. We try not to ask much of anybody. We instead try and go by the concept of it's better to have 1% of 100 people's efforts rather than 100% of your own. That way you're not asking much of anybody. They still have almost their entire life to do any of their other projects, for work, for everything else. We're asking for 1%. But when you have 100 people giving 100%, 100% still gets done, and 100% success can be achieved. When we get people giving 2%, 10%, we will literally move mountains. So, go to the Fawn section, the Fawn website, familiesunite.org. Go to the Help Us section. Also check out the Fawn store, where we have several books, t-shirts, and affiliate partners products that are now available and will be being added throughout the next couple of months. So continue to check back. We will also be hosting several other raffles, games, and giveaways, some of which we're going to talk about tonight. And most importantly, reach out. The easiest way to get involved is just to click like on the Facebook pages, on the post, click share, invite your friends to events, talk about us. Talk about what the mission of family law reform is and why it's important for you. Doing those things help to get the word out much more exponentially than we can ever do on our own. So please do your part, get involved, hit that like button, hit that share button, and reach out. And now we bring to you someone who needs no introduction, the Vice President of Families United Action Network, founder of Iowa Citizens for Justice, and Senate District 16 candidate here in Iowa. We now bring to you Toya Johnson.
never noticed them until I got this feeling that it's later than it seems. Doctor, my eyes, tell me what you see. I hear their cry.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our very first Families United Action Network telethon. Get it? Telethon? Well, my name's Chris Sweisser, and I'm an active fawn family participant, and have been pretty much since the beginning. That's primarily because I've known Nick for over 15 years, and I've been around since he was having his own shared parenting issues going back to 2011. If you're watching this, it's because you're having your own issues with this as well, or you know somebody who is. I would like you to consider contributions to the Fawn Network, because we can't do this without money. It takes money to buy advertising. It takes money for professional web development. So if you would go to our website, familiesunite.org, you'll find a way that you can contribute online. Any amount is greatly appreciated. And now I'd like to turn things over to Nick to introduce you to Dr. Mark Roseman. Nick?
Welcome to PA Voter Information Network. This is Larry DeMarco, your host.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of PA Voter Information Network. I am your host, Larry DeMarco, and today we are here with Dr. Mark Roseman. He is the founder and CEO of the Toby Center and a child custody consultant. Doctor, thank you for being a guest on PA Voter Information Network.
I'm delighted to be here.
My pleasure to have you. Doc, you're an expert in child custody. What got you interested in the field?
Thank you for asking. Over 20 years ago, I was in what is frequently referred to as a high conflict divorce. And as a result of my experience and working through these challenges within the court system as well as outside the court system, it certainly motivated me and propelled me into the field.
And then you founded an organization called the Toby Center. Could you tell us about the Toby Center's work and what you do there?
Sure. The Toby Center, which is named for my mother, Toby, is an agency that really grew out of my child advocacy work around the year 2000. At that time, I incorporated what was called the Children's Rights Council of Connecticut. And we worked with parents that were having difficult times accessing their children. We sought to bring the messages of the importance of joint custody to our society in Connecticut through radio, TV, and print media. And the role of the Toby Center really evolved from my work in Washington, D.C. as the Assistant Director for Child Access, co-managing one of the largest networks of supervised visitation services in the country. And I moved to Florida in 2010 to create the Toby Center, which had as its nucleus bringing parents together with their children